towards the end of the year, and at this time of year is the kind of time where everyone talks about their favourites of things that came out in 2013. And as much as I appreciate those kinds of things, they're always exclusively what came out in 2013. And I don't know about you, but with books, I tend not to read things that just came out in 2013. I read them, but I bet I've read a couple of books that came out in 2013, but with all of those lists, whenever there's a vote for your favourite thing, I've only read like one of them in each category, if that, so I can't really vote, honestly. So we have put together some categories of things that we read, and we talked about some of our favourite things that we read in 2013, so they might not have been out, they might have been out forever, and it's the only time that I got around to reading it. But it's like a more fair roundup of the year if I talk about things that I actually read this year and not things that came out this year.
Yeah, definitely.
So, the first category we have is Dystopia. Dystopia has been huge lately, and ever since Hunger Games there's just been one after another, and so we're going to talk about our favourites. I've been loving Dystopia this year.
Definitely, Dystopia is very, very good.
What is your favourite Dystopia?
My favourite Dystopia has to be Slated, I think, because that was such a good book.
Yeah, we reviewed Slated not too long ago, and I completely agree. I mean, I read tons of things, there was Divergent and all of that lot, but I just feel like for me as a psychology student, a book that is about memory and criminality and like adjusting those things like by messing with your brain, that's just right up my street, so that's Slated is my favourite for sure. The next topic is classics. We started a series called Classic Attempt because we're both a bit of a fail when it comes to reading classics. And there's probably going to be a lot of children's classics on that series, not gonna lie, because they're just so much easier to read. And I just love, like, they're all like children's fantasy, and that's my favourite thing ever.
Yeah.
I went to my grandma's like on Boxing Day, and I was literally so upset that she disassembled her bookshelf that was full of children's books. Like, I slept in the old room that I slept in when I was a kid, and there used to be a shelf, and it was full of children's books, and it was things like Enid Blyton books and Magic Private Tree, and she disassembled her bookshelf, and I was so upset. But yes, what was your favourite classic this year?
Favourite classic, I'm just going to have to say Narnia, because I reread it. I reread the series. It was so good.
Mine's actually not a children's book, it was Bridget Jones's Diary, because I finally got around to reading it. It's been so long. I got around to reading it. Good. I'm looking forward to like reading the second and the third one, because the third one just came out.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes next year. Okay, so historical fiction is one that I don't think Katie's read anything
No, I
of,
haven't.
but I had to create a category if there's a book thief. So I don't really know if that fits or not, but The Book Thief was literally one of my favourite books this year. I think it's quite possibly my favourite book that I read this year because it was just brilliant. And you wouldn't think that a book written from the perspective of death sounds a bit childish, about World War II sounds a bit risque, but it was good. Enjoyed that. Looking forward to reading more by Marcus Zuzak next year. Fantasy! One of my favourite genres. My favourite, I actually read it a couple of weeks ago, and it's The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. I haven't really been saying the authors' names in this, but all of the books we've mentioned will be in the link just below, and there'll be a Goodreads link so you can check out the books for yourself if you're interested in reading them. So yeah, The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer was one of those books that you had absolutely no clue what's going on throughout the entire book, but you seem to like it. Basically, and I really want to read the next one in the series, but I've just got far too much to do, and I was seriously contemplating downloading it. I'm having to be really strict with myself at the minute and be like, no, you cannot do that. Essays. The next category is young adult.
Young adult, yes.
Young adult's so big these days, and a lot of what I read is young adult, and I didn't really realise this until I just looked at my Goodreads things that I read this year, and I'm like, this is all young adult, and I don't really even notice it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that I'd grow out of it because young adults are always like 16 years old, 15,
Yeah.
18, and I'm 20, so you'd think that you would like grow out of it. But I don't know. Young adult's good. What was your favourite young adult
I
of the
think
year?
I put Hopeless
By Colleen Hoover.
by Colleen Hoover, yeah.
I've
It's
also
such a
read
book.
it. It was good. This is my problem with books as well, right? Is that I read a book and then if I don't review it immediately, I completely forget what happened. So this is one of my problems with choosing books that I enjoyed throughout the year. I remember I liked it.
Yeah.
I just can't remember what happened in it.
A lot of bad stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. It was one of those heart-wrenching books,
It was.
but fun nonetheless. I chose The Maze Runner by James Dashner because this year I've pretty much been reading books that I've heard a ton of things about in the past few years and just haven't got around to reading yet. And so The Maze Runner is one such book that I have heard a ton of things about and then just never got around to reading it. And I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to reading the next ones. So I need to get on that. There's like 3 of the books out, I think. So much to read and so little time. Next topic, high fantasy.
Which I have not read any of.
High fantasy, one of the things that I've probably read I read like about 1 high fantasy book a year because it just takes up a ton of time, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm going to get behind on how many books, like my challenge myself every year on Goodreads, and I'm just going to get behind if I spend like a month reading 1 book. And I know that's so bad, because I know that like that's just a really bad habit, but I don't know. I like high fantasy, it's just a lot of effort. So my pick this year was one that I picked up in a £1 bookstore. We found a £1 bookstore and it was double stacked shelves and stuff. This store was my favourite place ever. It's like a utopia that's just like around the corner from us, and it's the best thing ever. But I picked up the trilogy. I don't know what the trilogy is called, but the first one's Assassin's Apprentice, and I have the other 2, and it was really good, and it was a lot easier to read than things like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. So I enjoyed that because of that, but it still took me forever to read because high fantasy. Again, I'm just going to go for all the one. I think I read a lot more than Katie does.
She definitely
so
does.
I have a few more topics, and that's why I'm just talking like your ear off. I'm not letting it in edgeways. That's just because she hasn't read some of these topics. So the next one I had is Post-Apocalyptic, and I chose Enclave by, I do not know how to pronounce her last name because I heard it, I think it was like Anna Guire, but I heard her in an interview and she said some word that came out of her mouth, and I'm not really sure how, and I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but nevertheless I really like Anne, whatever hell her name is. She has another series which is really interesting fantasy series, and the first one in that is Blue Diablo, I believe, and it's one where, I think it's one where she can pick up an object and see like its history, who had it before and stuff like that, and it progresses, and I don't know, it's a really cool series, and because I'd read that series I'd never like branched out into other stuff, and I read Enclave and that was just a super good post-apocalyptic book really, and if there's a sequel to that, I think there is, and I just really need to get around to reading it, as with everything on this thing. Okay, so I'm going to let Katie talk for a bit. Contemporary. What was your favourite contemporary?
The contemporary I put Before I Fall because I just love this book so much, and I know for Louisa and quite a few other people didn't like it. Hey guys, sorry that the video cut off there, but the camera ran out of battery and we didn't have enough time to film, so I'm just adding this bit onto it just to tell you guys about what happened so you don't think we just left it there and that was it. We have a few more choices which I will leave down below, so if you want to check them out then please do down below. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. Bye bye!
Hey guys, so we reached 100 subscribers, woo!